What's up, guys? This is Adam Zwingler, CEO and founder of Inside Out Creative, a marketing agency doing about $1 million a year in sales, and Blastcraft, which is a restoration company doing about $1 million in sales. Through the last couple of years, I've been super blessed to have a very unique life, a lot of different things that we're doing in acquiring real estate and stocks and business entrepreneurship. I've never been interested in working for anybody else. In fact, I made a shitty employee back in the day. Blew through about 30 different jobs, and then eventually it was like, screw it, I just need to go work for myself. And that's when the magic started happening. Today, I want to go through a very unique story where I, in 2020, took $12,000, dumped it into the stock market, and less than 5 months later, I had over $4 million. And a lot of this was luck, just kind of being in the right place at the right time, doing some unique things that other people weren't doing, and really just finding ways to get to where the momentum was going to be fractions of a second sometimes before everybody else showed up. Literally like within moments before like mutual funds and hedge funds showed up, and not mutual funds, but hedge funds showed up, and retail traders. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you screenshots of the entire run up all the way to the 4 million. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the experience. And I will also log into my Robinhood account so that you can actually see the chart at the very end. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Guys, feel free to ask me any questions in the comments. I do want to respond to any comments that you do have. And also, I want to let you know, like, I've only had this YouTube channel for about a week. I started this thing actually a week ago today, and we have 50 subscribers. So I don't know where you guys came from, but I just want you to know, like, I am super grateful and kind of surprised actually that, I see all these other channels where it's like, thank you so much for, 100,000 subscribers. I just want to thank you guys for 50 subscribers. But let's go ahead. Let's do this. So I went back into my phone, and it was kind of a fun process to go back into 2020. You can actually see the timestamps on these different screenshots and start to pull data. This is actually the first screenshot that I have of what was happening. I don't have anything earlier on, but this right here was the start of my 12,000, I believe. And this dipped down, and this right here was, I invested in Spirit Airlines. And I remember it turned into like 30,000 or something. And I forget exactly how much it was, but I just remember it being like, wow, like I just tripled my money. And then it sold off, and it was kind of sad day for a little bit there. Just seeing how it didn't really do well. And then I started to get some momentum. And so I'm just going to work my way through this and share my thoughts as this whole thing kind of started to unfold. So you can see that this was November 16th. This was November 23rd. I was up to 125,000. What happened here, guys? And then November 23rd, 133,000, November 23rd, 139,000. This is all in the same day, guys. 148,000. So this was like a big deal. And I remember this particular day I woke up, and it was still the pre-market, and I literally watched my account like go up like a ton of money. It was like 40, 50 grand in like a day. And basically what happened was I invested into Switchback Energy, which at the time it was called SBE. Now it's called ChargePoint. And it was a company that creates electric chargers for electric cars. And at the time, Tesla had just run up. And I remember I joined a whole bunch of YouTube channels, just like I told you I did. And I was consuming all kinds of stock YouTube channel information. And one of the channels said, keep an eye on SBE because Tesla just ran up. And what do all these electric vehicles, all these other companies are going to start creating these. And what are they going to need? They're going to need charging. SBE, Switchback Energy, has the biggest electric charging network in the world. So at the time it was like trading at like $10. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like I've had a little bit of success here. I've got $80,000. I'm going all in. And I told Alicia, I cannot sell this because this is going to blow up. I don't know when it's going to blow up, but it's going to blow up. And then just like overnight, look at this, guys. In the pre-market overnight, it blew up $8 a share. And I forget exactly how many shares I had, but that that really started to jumpstart everything. And that took me from about 80 to 150,000 fairly quickly. Keep in mind, this all started like early October. So I'm sorry, mid to late October. So I was in the market for about maybe 35 days by now, and I turned it into 154,000, which was really exciting at the time. I pulled a couple pictures because you guys are going to see our life a little bit here in the next 4 or 5 months of what we were doing over this time. At the time, we bought Holly, and she was our little golden retriever. This was like one of the first days that we picked her up. That was like a really, we named her Holly because it was December, and, it was around Christmas time, and Alicia was like, why don't we call her Holly? So anyway, there's our golden retriever. She'll prop up a little bit in this presentation. Then, all right, December 15th. Now it's up to 161,000. Continues to climb to 165,000. This is all the same day. It goes up to 181,000. Another picture that I just happened to find while I was going through all my pictures. We were in the middle of lockdown, guys. I remember going into King Soopers, our grocery store, and there was this lady. I was trying to get pictures without her noticing. She had taken like a dinner knife or something, or not a dinner knife, a dinner napkin, and she had like Jimmy rigged it around her face, and she was working at King Soopers. And I just remember thinking, this is so ridiculous. Anyway, that I just had to throw that in here because it was just one of those moments where, even though life was so crazy, I'm sure it was for you guys too, there were moments of humor that came out of this whole thing. And this was one of those moments where I called Alicia. I was like, you will just not believe what this lady looks like down here. Anyway, so then I invested into CleanSpark, and CleanSpark. So here's what happened, guys. At this point, I had maybe $180,000, $200,000 that I turned this into. And I was following all these stock YouTube channels. And there was one stock YouTube channel. It was like this Indian guy in Hawaii. And I kept noticing like everybody had interesting takes on like the different stocks that they were suggesting and buying. But this one guy who at first I wasn't overly impressed, his name was Dead Inside, was his YouTube channel. And I didn't like his name. And he talked kind of slowly, and I wasn't super impressed. But what I noticed over the course of about a month and a half was that he was consistently making very good stock picks. And like everything that he was picking was going up. And a lot of the other YouTube channels, some of them were going up, some were going down, but nobody really had like consistency. And I started to focus on him. And this is one of the first stocks that I bought that he suggested. It was called CleanSpark. And this stock really took me over 200,000, and it started to blow up. You can see here's CleanSpark at $19, then it goes to $20, then it goes to $23. And this whole time, like, I'm owning a lot of CleanSpark, so I don't really have an exact picture of how far it went and what it did to my account, but I think it pushed me up over $250,000. Guys, this is the value of mastering a skill set early in the morning while other people are sleeping, and allowing that to pull into your day, right? So this was one of those correlations in the stock market where I was like, wow, this dude is like onto something. Like, he really is like consistently picking stocks that are just going up, and he's finding the stuff before it starts to go up. At the time, he had like 20,000 followers. Now he has like 175,000 followers. But so it was really early in his YouTube channel, and not a lot of people really knew about him. But I just remember one day I told Alicia, I was like, I am not following anybody else. Like, I've stopped watching any of these other YouTube channels. I don't really care at the moment. I am only investing in what this guy has to invest in. So then he had kind of introduced a variety of different stocks that I invest into. And then he decided to feature a penny stock, which is trading at like $1 a share, called FRSX. And I just remember when he made the announcement that he was going to do a video on this stock, I just took like all of my money, which was like 250,000, or I forget exactly how much I took, but I just dumped it all into a penny stock, guys. And at the time here, yeah, it was trading at $2.37. This was like moments after I bought it. And look, I actually only put like $71,000 in it, which was not, that was only like 33% of my portfolio at the time. So I put 71,000 and I bought 30,000 shares. Then he released the video, and this is kind of the moment where he released the video and the stock just went freaking nuts. And then I upped my position to 50,000. You could see people were texting me because I had started telling my friends what I was doing, and they started following what I was doing. And when Dead Inside would release videos, like the stock would just go nuts, and I would just have like tons of people texting me like, did you see this? And blah, blah, blah. It was really exciting at the time. But literally within like an hour of me investing, guys, I was up $55,000 on this stock. And then it just kept going. FRSX just continued 63,000, here's 70,000. And it became life-changing money, like 332,000 is what my account went up to. Check this out, guys. It went up to $5 a share, like within a day or two, and I had already made $142,000 off of this stock. Which topped me out at 363,000. And then, he started going on another rampage of just a whole bunch of different stocks. So at the time, these were some of the stocks that I was invested into. At this point, when I sold out of FRSX, I was like, I need to diversify. I decided, all right, like this is the best it's going to get. I need to now diversify. And so I invested into a whole bunch of stocks. These were some of the stocks. And then he featured immersion. It looked like he was going to talk about immersion. So I bought it at $10 a share. And what happened is like the first day that he talked about this stock, it didn't skyrocket like all the other stocks. In fact, he released the video and the stock basically stayed level the whole day. And it was like, whoa, like maybe nothing happened. You can see like for the day, I was actually down 3.62%. And then in the after hours, it shot up 23%. And I made 75 grand off of immersion in the after hours that day. You can actually see a screenshot of immersion. Here's what happened in the after hours. It went up $3 a share. I owned a ton of shares at the time. And this is the big one, guys. This is the one that really kind of like almost made me a millionaire off of stocks. He introduced another penny stock called BNGO. It was something in the I can't even remember now. It was a something in the medical industry, in genomics. It was a genomic penny stock. And when he released BNGO, I bought around $1. And guys, just so you know, like 3 months later, the stock was trading for $12 a share. It was up like thousands of percent. I missed out on a lot of that because I actually sold after I got a 250% gain. But it actually went up thousands of percent. If I had just stayed invested in this, I probably would have been worth like $10 million just off of this. But I got freaked out after 250%. But you can see here's where it started running up, $450,000. So you can see I had 218,000 shares of BNGO, which really started to run 470,000. It shot up over 500,000, 557. This was all off of BNGO, guys. 700,000, 779,000. This is all running off of one penny stock. 844,000, 924. So it basically almost like, I think it almost topped out. Like, look, here's it at 342, $3.42 a share. So it was up, several dollars a share, and I owned 218,000 shares, guys. So every time it went up $1, I made $218,000. And this is just the beginning of its run, guys. It went to $12. It was freaking insane. Go look at the chart. Then I started investing for my dad, which, by the way, he gave me $1,000 and I turned it into $132,000 in the same amount of time frame. He gave me $1,000 and I turned it into 132. So I grabbed a couple of those screenshots as that started running up. Then I had a sell off. I didn't really show you a whole lot of that sell off, but you can see the account dropped down to 626,000. There's Holly again. That's her getting her shots at the vet. It was a really cool time just having this little puppy hanging around. And this is another thing that we, started making money. I started thinking, man, we should buy a piece of land out here in Colorado and build these really cool little tiny houses. So that was something that we started thinking about. And it's actually something that we plan on doing in the future. It's just getting a plot of land, 50 acres out in the mountains in Colorado, and building some really unique tiny houses, which is just kind of a side thought, but in going through all my pictures, I saw this again. I was like, like we need to revisit that as like a potential new thing down the road. Take $500,000, buy a $50,000 piece of land, and invest $50,000 into like 10 different tiny houses. I think that's something that we're going to do down the road. So, something to consider. I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on if you think that would be a project worth pursuing, if you think Airbnb is going to last, and this could be a kind of like a worthwhile thing to do. Anyway, all right. So I go in, I get out of BNGO, and Star Peak Energy was the next Dead Inside stock. He introduced it. And this is a stock that, look at this. Look at these numbers, guys. In one day, I made 171,000. In the after hours on Star Peak, I made 250,000. So what was starting to happen at this point in this massive run up in the stock market, growth stocks were on a massive tear. And they would go up during the day. And then in the after hours, it's like hedge funds would pump them even more. And they could sometimes go up 20, 30% in the after hours. And that's what was happening. And when I was swinging this kind of money around, if the stock goes up 30% and you have $1 million invested, you got $300,000 in the after hours. So that's what was happening. Then dipped down a little bit, but here's kind of the chart. I grabbed this one because, this was 3 months into this, guys. And this is what my stock portfolio chart looked like. I was up pretty much $1 million. Then I hit $1 million in 3 months. Then there was kind of some other penny stocks that he introduced. Those penny stocks allowed me to catapult from 1 million to 1.3 million. This is my dad's account starting to run a little bit more. What I would do with my dad's account, because I got to a point where I had so much money and I was investing in penny stocks, that I would invest my dad's money, and then I would dump my millions in, which would shoot the stock up more. And then I'd sell my dad out. So he was guaranteed 5 to 20% gains before I would even start taking my money out. So it was really momentum trading. And it was, I ended up doing it for my mom too, and Alicia. We all were, I think I probably over the course of the whole time made like about 5 million between all the different accounts. So anyway, here's just a glimpse of some of the other stocks that I was buying at the time. We were down in Arizona. Holly decided to stick her face into a cactus, and the cactus broke off in her nose, but she was still a very happy girl. All right, so I'm just kind of showing you screenshots, and then AMC came along, and I missed GME. So here's something interesting, guys. And I don't want this to be too long of a video, but it's part of the story. One of the things I found was when something big happens in the stock market, usually it's just a matter of time before the stock market tries to find the next thing that's going to do the same thing. So Tesla ran up, and that put a focus on electric vehicles, which put a focus on all of the Chinese electric vehicles, which I got in and was able to capitalize on, which put a focus on all of the electric charging station stocks, which I got in and was able to capitalize on. And I was getting in these literally days sometimes before the hedge funds would think of the same thing. So a lot of what I was doing was, it's just human nature. You got to realize these hedge funds are also being ran by other people. And I just had a knack for seeing the things that would probably be the next thing. And AMC is a perfect example where I missed GME. I would not invest in something that I didn't think made sense. So I stayed out of crypto pretty much the whole time because I didn't understand crypto. So I didn't invest in crypto. But with AMC, and I didn't invest in GME because even as it was running up, I was like, nothing about this makes sense to me. I didn't understand short squeezes, and I wasn't willing to put my money on the line for something that I didn't understand the fundamentals of why it was going up. But after GME did its thing, I was like, I did a deep dive and I understood short squeezes. And then I was like, what could be like the next stock? And AMC was like a real obvious, and you start following the different stock message boards and you see that like there's some serious momentum building behind AMC. So I threw some money in AMC, and this is a screenshot of it up 164,000. It went up 181,000 in profit. Here I had actually made 250,000 off AMC. So that was, a nice piece that kind of helped continue to push the thing higher. Dead Inside introduced another stock, which was a penny stock. It just kept going up. you can see that, this is a pretty common. So I hit 1.5 million here. Funny story. This is Alicia. And so we're traveling around in an RV, guys. We just decided to do that for COVID, and we are not casino people. And we stayed in this RV park, and there was really nothing around, but there was a sushi restaurant in the casino. So one night I was like, babe, let's go down and get some sushi at the casino. And she was like, sure. So we went down there. We had a really nice sushi dinner. It was actually pretty good sushi. And on our way back, I had made something stupid, like several $100,000 in the stock market that day. And I was like, babe, why don't we pick just a couple slot machines and just try our hand? So I let her pick, and she went to one and nothing really happened. And then she picked a second one. It was the second one. And we put $4 in the slot machine, and the machine went off for 20 minutes. It was freaking embarrassing for her. Because a whole crowd gathered around and this machine's going off. We don't even know what's happening, but for 20 minutes, it's just like lighting up and going off. And she won like $21,000 cash. It was a wild story. I'm sure it'll never happen again, but there's a whole time in our life, guys. You got to realize, like, in many ways, this whole thing just kind of felt like we won the lottery. It's weird how, you go through really hard times in life, and we've been through some really hard times. And then, occasionally life just shines a light on you and you're able to do some really cool things, and it feels like the wind is at your back. And this was one of those moments where, financially there was a lot of interesting kind of cool stuff happening. Shooting up to 1.6 million, 1.7 million. At this point, I invested into Gevo, which is an energy company. Now we went into energy stocks, and I could see the energy stocks with Biden getting elected. He was pumping green energy. So I was going into green energy stocks. Guys, I grabbed this screenshot because this was my Robinhood account, and you can see that it is February 8th. So this is about 4 months. I'd say about 4 months into investing. I'm up 5,000% on $12,000. And I think I added maybe like another 10,000 at one point earlier on. I put 12,000 in, started to get some success. I was like, I'm going to put another 10,000. But really after that, I don't think there was anything invested on my part. So here you can see 5,000%. This was Alicia's account, which started with 30,000. At that point, I had her up to 170,000 almost. This was my dad's account, which had gone from 1,000 to 12,000. And ultimately, I played him big on a couple final plays, which got him up over 100,000. I think he topped out at 130,000. Anyway, it was a cool day, the day that I saw a $2 million thing on my stock. That was really cool to see it cross that 237. I just kept taking screenshots because I was like, I can't, like, this just doesn't feel real right now, Here we were. This was the RV park. Right behind me in this photograph was the casino where we won the money. We stayed there for a couple weeks. It was really a really, really cool thing. And I don't know if you've spent much time in Arizona, but we were in Tucson, Arizona, and the sunsets and the sunrises were just incredible. Like this picture does not really describe the intensity of the sunrises and sunsets in Arizona. It's just like, it's like the whole sky is on fire, guys. I've never seen any place that's quite like this. At this point, I'm up over 2 million. I'm shopping for Tesla Roadsters. I'm like, oh, maybe I should put an order down on something like this. I never did. And maybe I will buy one of these down the road, but you win you get a couple $1 million up, and that's the kind of thing that you start shopping for. 2.2 million. This is a kind of a funny thing that I grabbed because I saw it in my photographs, but this is really how it felt. Like buying these penny stocks, you buy it at $1.04, and like by $1.06, you literally feel like you got this kind of money. It was just super crazy, guys. I can't describe the level of crazy. It didn't feel real. It felt surreal. So here's some of the other stocks that I was buying. Sense was a pharmaceutical company that I bought 200,000 up on that one, and then CTXR, guys. So this was the company that took me from 2 to 4 million, the CTXR. Okay. So I'll get into that part of the story now. But that is the company. It was a penny stock. So I'm shooting up to 2.3 million here. So here's the thing. CTXR had a direct offering. The stock went from almost $2 a share down to $1.50 where the direct offering was. I loaded the boat and I decided I am going big. And I took my 2 million and I put it all on $1.50 penny stock at the direct offering price. I was like, how much lower can it go? It's already selling at the direct offering price. Like, it's never going to go lower than this. Now the company is flush with all this cash that they just did on their direct offering. So I loaded the boat and nothing happened for several days. It went down like couple cents a share, and I was down like almost 12,000. And I'm just sitting there. You can see I've got 1.5 million shares of this thing, and for a market value of like $2.1 million. And it was kind of hair raising because for 3 days, nothing happened. It just sat there at that $1.50 while the direct offering was going on. And then overnight, so you can see I'm up 6,300% at this point, guys. And then CTXR starts to run. It shoots up to $1.57, $1.63, $1.91, $2. So at this point, I'm up like $1 million on CTXR. Well, 700 and something thousand, 3.4 million. You can see here, I took some screenshots because it was just wild to see one penny stock. I'm up like $1.1 million here. Also, this screenshot captures my dad's $1,000 turning into 100,000. Like, in the after hours on CTXR, he made like $30,000 off this stock. 3.8. This all happened on one day. 3.8. And this was the last screenshot that I grabbed, guys. I peaked out at about $4,000 and $84,000. And on this day, it went up to that. And then basically, just a day or two later, the Fed announced that they were going to start pulling back on their stimulus money and stuff. And growth stocks started to take a serious dive. But I did not at this point, guys, I had made all this money without understanding how the Fed actually is the background piece that controls what happens in the stock market. I didn't even know the Fed really was at all involved in the stock market. So when the Fed did that, I didn't even know why the growth stocks started selling off. And I was just totally oblivious, And so anyway, that's the last screenshot that I took. But let me tell you a couple things in retrospect that I've learned just kind of in thought and reflection, thinking back on this crazy 5 months of my life. So I can tell you how it ended. My 4 million turned into 1 million over the course of another 5 or 6 months. It just kept selling off. I just kept losing and losing and losing money. And what I didn't understand was it's not about the growth stocks. It was what the Fed was doing in the background. And so and here's the thing, guys, it was really stressful. We're in the RV, we're supposed to be having a good time, and I'm stressing out about all this money that's getting lost. You have to realize this seems like one of those situations where you're like, oh my gosh, I just love to have that situation happen to you. Well, let me tell you the dark side of this. I couldn't sleep. Every moment of the day, I was having my accounts fluctuate hundreds of thousands of dollars every day. The stock market would open in the pre-market at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would be wide awake waiting to see what was going to happen. I couldn't sleep. For 6 months, I already don't sleep hardly anything, 4 or 5 hours. I could not sleep, guys. I was stressed because of the volatile nature of what was happening in the accounts, and that was bleeding into my relationship. I was edgy. I was frustrated a lot of the time, especially as it started to sell off. I was really frustrated. I was easily angered, and I could get into arguments with Alicia. We fought more over this period of time as this sell-off started to happen. It got to a point where we got to the end of our RV trip and we were even questioning whether we should be together. And it was all over this freaking stock market, which, in hindsight, it's that's so stupid to risk this awesome relationship that we have. And at the time, it wasn't really obvious to me that the stock market was actually the thing that was causing my relationship all of this stress. So, I'm getting out of the RV and I'm going around the backside of the RV and I'm chain smoking, which I haven't smoked since my 20s, guys. Like, when I was at that time, I was a luxury yacht chef, and, I was lighting up cigarettes back in my 20s. And, it had been a long time since I had smoked cigarettes. And I remember being so stressed that I would go buy a pack of cigarettes and smoke a cigarette when Alicia wasn't looking. And it was like so uncomfortable. And so, we're traveling in this RV and we're seeing these really cool places. We spent a whole month in the Florida Keys, and like, I couldn't even enjoy it. I just remember being so stressed out. I couldn't even enjoy it. So anyway, at $1 million, when this sold off down to $1 million, Alicia finally was like, babe, just freaking be done. Just be done. Walk away. You got $1 million. Just walk away. Like, it's time to be done. Let's go do some other stuff. And I remember where we were sitting at a picnic table, and I remember having that conversation, and I said, well, let me think about it. And I went and I thought about it, and we just decided to do that. So I sold out. My last stock that I owned at the time was NEO, because NEO was my highest conviction stock at the time. And sold out, and we took a trip to the Bahamas for 2 weeks with some of our siblings. And I took some of that money. I paid taxes, heavy taxes, which was a frustration. And I decided to invest about $500,000 into Blastcraft. After I paid taxes, I invested into Blastcraft, which awesome thing to invest into, guys. It's turned into $1 million a year business with about 30% profitability on that million. So Blastcraft has ended up being quite an awesome endeavor. We had cash left over that we were able to start buying real estate. We now own about $2 million of real estate, with plans to double down this year and buy another fourplex and another duplex, so that we have a total of 10 or 11 rental units for a total of, $3 to $4 million in real estate. And, I guess here's what there's a variety of things that kind of come to mind when I start thinking about this. One of them is, people do ask me, do I think I could do it again? And my answer has always been probably not, but maybe. It would take the right market environment, and I think it would take a YouTube channel similar to Dead Inside, where you can recognize the momentum plays that are happening and be able to create a group of people that can invest and momentumly shoot it up. Because what we noticed was that if a bunch of retail traders jumped in on something, it would trigger algorithm trading, which would cause algorithms to, and I don't really understand what was happening in the background, but it would cause algorithms to kind of kick in and push it even higher. So I think that there is a possibility for it. People also ask me, would I do it again? And my answer to that is probably not, but maybe. Probably not, just because I'm so happy in life. Like, once we got rid of the stock market, which was this major frustration kind of thing, we've started investing into a lot of good things. We've invested into our health and our mental health and our businesses more, and a little bit in the stock market, but in a different way, and real estate. I'm just so much happier, guys. And I don't think it's worth it. I do think that maybe in the right market conditions, with the Fed working for us, there's a chance that this could be done again. But I just don't know if I'd ever really want to be in that situation again, where I can't sleep, I'm stressed out, I'm paranoid all the time, I'm checking my phone all the time. I'm literally checking stocks I'm going and taking a pee, and I'm figuring out how to check the stocks while I'm taking a pee, and I'm checking the stocks on my walk back over to the couch, and I'm checking my stocks while I'm driving. I just remember how miserable and addictive that was, and how unhealthy that was. Was I happier because of the money? What's interesting is, like, when we hit 4 million, I just remember, like, nothing changed. I wasn't happier. I didn't feel this sense of accomplishment. I didn't feel a sense of pride. Like, it was a novelty that was mixed with greed, and there was just this constant yearning to make it more. And I wasn't enjoying the journey, and I wasn't happy or content. I would argue that I was probably in one of the most unhappy times of my life because of the greed and desire to build it and grow it more. Um, so I wasn't happier. The stress, you just don't realize the amount of stress that comes with uncertainty. You know, we don't have uncertainty with the businesses quite the same. We don't have uncertainty with our real estate. The money that we do have invested in Neo now is invested for the long run. So we don't really care what happens in like the near term. We don't, and if anything, like if it goes down, it's more of a buying opportunity for us right now. So we don't have a lot of stress going on in our lives. And we think that that's probably for the better. I'm sleeping better, and our arguments are really almost non-existent now that this is not something in our lives. I feel very strongly that intentional daily habits that are in small investments into consistent quality routine things is a better way to kind of slowly build a net worth. And there's just so much more happiness and contentment and excitement in the process of building it. You know, when we got to the 4 million, Alicia had like a couple 100,000 in her account. We were multimillionaires and we didn't even feel excited. Like it was almost like, what do we do with ourselves now? Like we could just invest this money into a mutual fund and like just go retire. There's just like this weird dynamic that happens where you don't feel happier and you don't feel even that excited about the future. I didn't know what I was going to do with that money, but it almost didn't feel like I was deserving of the money. It was so much money that it just felt like I wasn't even deserving of it. It didn't feel like I really earned it, you know? Um, so one thing that I would say is, guys, um, it's nice to have enough money that it gives you options. And coming back to my daughter, India, and the family that we're going to raise, you know, if you guys are watching this down the road, my advice to you is like, work hard enough to have enough money to have options so that you can live life by your own design, on your own terms, choose your own schedule, you know, just have options in life of things that you can do. Maybe you don't have enough money to do everything you want to do, but you have enough money that you have options of things that you can pursue, and you will have control over those things that you can pursue. I highly recommend just getting to a point where you have enough money, where you have options. You don't have to work for somebody else. Like I sometimes am out, you know, 7, 8 in the morning, and I see all the traffic and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so freaking glad I don't have to deal with that. And that is the benefit of having some money, is, you know, just being able to make the decision to pursue the things that you really care about, the things that are exciting to you. Coming back to that tiny house idea, you know, that's something that's exciting to us. We'd love to do that down the road. And it's nice to know that at some point we can sell off our businesses if we want, and we can invest into an idea like that if we want to, and just build some sort of cool village with really unique tiny homes or whatever we want to do down the road. And really, guys, here's kind of my last thought on this too. I was sitting on the couch this morning with my daughter, and it was 5 in the morning, and she's sitting there, and I've got my arm around her, and we are watching Lion King. And she is just so fixated whenever there's the songs, even at just like a very young age, 6 months. She's just so fixated when the songs come on. It's like her whole world stops and she's just fixated. And halfway through one of those songs, it surprised me. She turned and she looked up at me and she put her little hand on my face and she smiled at me, guys. And you know, it's enough to make me almost emotional because I can tell you right now, that moment was so much happier than seeing my account go from 3 million to 4 million or 1 million to 2 million. It's just better. It's more grounded in the right things in life. And on your deathbed, I would even argue on my deathbed, if I live to be 90, let's say, I am not going to care about whether my Robinhood account went from 3 million to 4 million or 1 million to 2 million or whatever. I might be laying there thinking about the moment that happened this morning. And that kind of brings me back to like, what is the core thing that matters most? And I would argue that memories and those simple quality moments with the right people are actually the most valuable things in life. So much more so than what your bank account has grown to. And it's great to have both, but if I had to choose, I would probably choose the memories. And I'm hoping to make a video on that here soon. Just on that being the most valuable thing that you can gather throughout your life, collect over your life. All right. Hopefully this this video was engaging, entertaining, whatever you want to call it. Hope I don't know if it's inspiring or not, but thank you for your time. On to the next video.